think data has been one of the most frequently used words today. So from the theory to the practical. Andy Cafu, where are you? Come on. Yeah, come on. Yes. You're on your own for this?
Yep. Hi everyone. I was supposed to give this with Mark Playdell. Sadly, he's got a family illness, so he's not here today. The bad news is that any technically difficult questions I'll just have to pass on to him, I'm afraid. I'm just going to give you a quick recap on the digital controller interface standard since we spoke, what we've been doing. To remind you what it's about, there's myself, Peter Routledge, who many of you will know as a signals expert. John Wade is a guy who is very good at data, open standards and so on, and Mark, very much an industry guy on traffic signals. We're looking at the standards, and this is very reminiscent of the DTRO discussion we had earlier on, because we need to know the number and type of traffic signal control sites in the UK. We need to know which site is where, and we need to know the control strategies and how you apply each signal. And we also need to know about how we can share that data. And you might ask why. Because at the moment, traffic signal control data, and this is a bit like DTRO, a digital copy of traffic signal data is a PDF. It's a form that's been filled in, or it's an Excel spreadsheet. And having that digitally available and openly available would enable a lot of benefits. So firstly, things like configuring traffic signal control configuration. But one of the big benefits, and we spoke at length to the likes of Immense and so on, is the ability to make much faster and better micro-simulation models. The connected services that Darren spoke about earlier on, knowing what traffic signals are doing, particularly for green light, optimal speed advice, but also to lay a base for autonomy. And we say the word base very carefully, and that it's still potentially some time away, but we can't see really automated vehicles driving around and hoping to sense what's going on in a set of signals. So in other words, digitising roads needs digital signals. So just to remind you how traffic signals work, for those of you who aren't day-to-day traffic signal, that grey box is a traffic signal controller. That happens to be in Dudley Road somewhere. And in there is a load of electronics, and those electronics tell the signals whether to go red or green. And there are detectors, and there are all sorts of other things that tell that set of signals how to work. And that's a relatively nice, simple one. Imagine that you've got trams or horses or cycles or ... inserted in those. And some very complicated different control strategies. But fundamentally, where is the signals and what are they doing is quite useful for the digital future. It also means that other digital twins, such as twins of the road network that feed traffic into and out of it, and of the utilities underneath it, where the gas board will come and cut into sensors, for example, are quite important. So what this actually we're working on is three things, which is firstly a little summary of the intersection, which we call the ISD. Then there's a much more complicated thing, which is in the European standard. As Darren said earlier on, why reinvent standards? There's one called MAPEM, which lays out how a traffic signal junction works. And then there's what we call an E2500, which echoes the current traffic signal definition form or spreadsheet that you might use. So just to recap on the ISD, this is a list that you'll give of all the signal control sites which are in the boundary of a local authority. And the point there, it's geographically led rather than whether you actually own the site. So there's all sorts of challenges which you're working with people like National Highways who have sites that they don't own or sites they manage, etc. There'll be a central depository that does checking, so a bit like DTRO. Each site has its own Simonite number, and we chose the word Simonite in memory of Brian Simonite, who's someone who did a load of work on traffic signal design, and Brian's family allowed us to use that. So instead of calling it something techie like UK_intersection number, people will ask, why is it called a Simonite number? And we can explain about Brian's work. We've tried the process with a number of local authorities, so Jackie in Baines, Dorset, Hull, Kirklees, Leeds, Staffordshire, TFGM, and many more. Thank you for going through this process and finding holes in it, helping us fix it. We're working with National Highways, as I mentioned. We've spoken to the devolved governments to make sure it's not just UK. But the portable signals is also an interesting one where we think there could be quite some really good benefits in terms of minimising delay and looking at the location of portable signals. So it's one thing for a self-driving car to know there's a permanent set of signals around the corner, but there's a set of temporaries literally being put in is an interesting problem. So those of you who've helped, we're tweaking the guidance, particularly for privately owned sites, which is a bit of a nightmare, and how to do portable signal deployments in a way that's the minimum amount of effort. But the thing that we keep stressing is that you don't have to go and renumber all of your sites that you've got. This is a table in which you point us at the number that we need to use. Just to show that we worked, we've uploaded a load of data from Staffordshire. Thank you, Staffordshire. All the signals you provided were in Staffordshire and not in Ulster Mongolia. We've loaded from Dorset. That shows again we can upload stuff. You're seeing a very similar process to DTRO here. DTRO has the advantage that there are many more of them, also that there are a bit further down the line in terms of digital, and also that there are many suppliers. But we've taken many of the lessons from the DTRO people. I won't go into the detail of the MAPM, but basically it's the standard way in which to define a junction. The traffic signal controller, we've tried to make it, it's going to be written in something called JSON, those of you who understand technology. It's currently trying to make it non-manufacturer specific and as open as we can. So we're talking with the signal companies to say, how can we improve this? And we've got a schema in order to test it. The thing is that we keep trying to break the thing, so anyone who can use it and say, oh, you forgot to use this, and we'd rather sort of seek forgiveness for getting things wrong than arrogantly go ahead and build something that doesn't work. So what we're doing, we're supporting local authorities as they try and implement the ISD scheme. We're extending the MAPM and so on scheme to make sure that we can support that. But very many people have been very kind in giving us a really knotty, difficult junctions to try and break. Somebody would say, well, surely you've got a DFT system already that uploads data from roads and it looks after it and publishes it. So we're working very carefully with the DTRO team who've given us some great pointers about how to do things. We've obviously got some big government IT processes and cyber security to do and some test cases. But the main thing is please get in touch if you want to hear more. Should Darren get some money in the future, then you probably need to think more about DSIS, but I couldn't say any more than that because I'd be sniped by Darren. As I say, Mark is the expert on this, and I'm sorry that he can't be here, but let's just give you a quick update. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, for that. My presentation is on the update of the code of practice, which is on, which I'll come to. This one, management of electronic traffic equipment, which is a code of practice, which I've been asked to lead on to update. The last time the code was written was back in September 2011, so you can imagine technology has moved on, so the code it just needs reviewing. So the UK Liaison Group has requested the UK Lighting Board to update this document, which is established in the well-maintained highways infrastructure code, right? There are two parts to this. The part D is the lighting, and the management of electronic equipment is a standalone document. I've been asked to lead on the management of electronic traffic equipment, the update, and Dave Denser from Wales office government has been asked to look after the part D, the lighting. But since then, the UK Lighting Liaison Group has asked Atkins to update part A, B, C and D of that section as well. So all of those documents that are associated with well-maintained highways will be updated soon, hopefully within the next 6 months or so. Just if you're not aware of who UK Liaison Group is, it's a group that brings together national and local governments and that look at the infrastructure and the operation of and support the highway network from that perspective. And you can see there are a number of boards there, and Lighting and Technology Board is one of those boards. So within the Lighting and Technology Board, there are the 4 nations that are part work of it. There are other institutes and associations like the Lighting Institute of Lighting professionals in there, and the ADEPT, and I represent the ADEPT group. So that's the reason why I've been asked to. And as you can see, there's Highway Electrical Association and National Highways involved within that board as well. The existing code of practice, right, is in 5 sections predominantly. It gives you the introduction. It looks at the policies and the procedures of the service that we have to deliver. It looks at the requirements of maintenance, on the reactive maintenance, and the proactive maintenance, and the procurement. All the items really, Darren really touched on his presentations, why we need to do things and how we deliver this. And I think this is where the code of practice will actually come in its own, that how do we have the technologies there when we are actually trying to deliver these technologies, how we have that buying power, how we can go to our elected members and saying, this is what we required, and if we deliver this, we will require capital money, but we also require revenue money, and understanding that procedure. And actually working with local government and industry and saying what our needs are. Really, I'm pleased that Darren went and spoke about how do you sell things. The real is what do we require, and what the vision is, and how we deliver that. If we can update the code of practice to today, we can use this as a manual and saying this is what we need to deliver in the future, and how to go about it. The existing code has 19 recommendations, which we are reviewing through and going through those and seeing how they can be updated. Really good practice. Like all parties that are involved in delivering the service should see how they can improve that service. If a maintenance contractor is being appointed, making sure they comply with the necessary rules and regulations, and follow the appropriate procedures that are required within the code of practice and listed in your contract as well. So I'm pleased to say stage 1 of the review has been complete. That is to look at the document as a whole and see what we can do with it. So what needs to be removed, what needs updating, what we need to include as a new, because like I say, technology has moved on since it was initially published. So I'm pleased to say that's been done. The second bit is really now updating that document and what text can we insert, and basically rewrite the document to make it compliant to today's requirement. We're looking at changing the document name to the Management of Roadside Technology. That's a proposal, not set in stone yet, so it's something that we're looking at. And then when the document is published, yes, it'll be a PDF copy, but we want it linked to Manual for Streets, so it can be used as case studies and give good examples how to deliver. If you are going to, let's say, deploy a car park management system, how do you follow that, what the requirements are. So really, one of the reasons I asked to, what did I ask to stand up here? No, I didn't. But one of the reasons I'm here is to ask consultancies, elected, also industry and local authorities to have an input in this code of practice, because with what you could give us, we will hopefully try to include within the code of practice that allows you to deliver highway improvement schemes using technology on the design, procurement, specification, and the maintenance of the equipment on the asset. So we have a clear goal when we're delivering it on decision making, ensuring that we are consistent and reliable from that side. I'm pleased to say Darren has some money and he has contributed towards this, so that's good. But really what we want to do is make sure when the document is produced, it provides benefit to highway authorities and industry. Some of the new elements that are missing within the existing document, this is that Andy just talking about communication updates. As you know, that's moved leaps and bounds. Thank you to Mobius, who have already assisted with that, with the writing of that paper, so that's good. We want to make sure we include CAV, LED implementation, data security, cyber security that we've already touched upon, temporary signals as well. So technology has moved on, and like I said, we want to make sure everything's captured in the new document. So we're hoping within the next 3 months that the draft document will be ready, and that will be given to the editorial team to look through and make modifications. We want to make sure we engage with Atkins as well, who are looking at the suite of the documents A, B, C, and D, and ensure they're in line with each other. And once that's done, so hopefully from 6 months in time, we will have the full document that's published for you to able to use as required. So if you can help, please, that's my email address, goforden@warwickshire.gov.uk, or Steve's here. He's assisting from there. So my time as a ADEPT member, that's free of charge, and I'm pleased to say Warwickshire are happy to pick that up. So the time that Steve has spent on the project is funded through the Transport Technology Forum, which we're really grateful for. So really, I'm just seeking your, this is the last time, hopefully I'm going to ask people to come and help. I'm pleased to say a lot of people have come through forward, but we can still do with some more if that's acceptable. And that's it, really.